but literally you are just an amalgamation of survival programs that got put in place. And there you will stay until you unpack that. We've all come here with a divine purpose, traveling on a stream of cosmic dust from the stars into our mother's wombs, born into this precious life. It is no accident that you are here, my love, on earth, in this moment, in this body. You are here longing to find your place, to align with your purpose, to embody your passions and to live into the dreams of your heart. Yet so often we get caught, suspended in the tangle of life, not able to move forward, not able to find solace and comfort in a world that has forgotten the truth of our existence. As we begin to remember, as we peel back the layers, as we come together to uncover our unique gifts and reconnect with our authentic selves, we are able to see another way of being, a new possibility, a different life waiting to be lived. I have experienced on this complicated and wild journey of life that when we connect with the story of our soul, it will show us the magic of this life that we have been missing. It will open a window into the very heart of who we truly are, of who we came here to be, and gives us answers to our ever-asking why. Good morning, beautiful, courageous souls. So good to be here with you. So, last night, which won't be last night at the time you're listening to this, however, it was last night for me in time and space, I took the Myers-Briggs personality test and the Enneagram personality test. And it was fascinating, so fascinating that it inspired this podcast and what I'm going to share with you here today. So the first thing that happened as I was taking the test, the quiz, whatever we want to call it, right, was that I couldn't even respond to some of the answers. Like the answers weren't me. And yes, there's a gradient, but it was like, well, what if I don't like either answer or I'm both answers? The only choice is neutral, right? Which means I don't have an opinion on it. But the thing is, I did have an opinion on it. Neither of the answers were what I wanted. I wanted something different, but that wasn't a choice. And I'm not citing this as a problem, quote unquote, of the test. I'm citing this as my own journey of expansion. Like that's the lens that we want to look at this through, or I am looking at this through, right? Is how I have changed. Because the second thing that happened was, as I looked at the answers, I said, oh, well, this was me 20 years ago when I was really just diving deeper into personal growth and spiritual work, right? When I was starting to unpack who I was and explore my trauma and all the things that happened to me and do something about it. Prior to that, though, I was a very different answer. So that showed me that there's multiple times in our lives that we could take these tests and we can get a different result. Because if I had took this test 20 years ago, it would have told me something very different based on the answers I would have chosen versus the answers I chose today. So first we have the piece where there weren't enough choices for who I have become, right? There were choices for who I was, but not choices for who I've become. And then the second thing, well, both of those kind of go together in that context, don't they? Right? There wasn't an answer, but it's because I've grown. And the next thing that came through is when I got my results, INFP, only some of the data registered with me, right? Some of the things that I'm good at, some of those were accurate. Then when we got to the shadow side and the things that are my challenges, they're no longer my challenges. They might have been in the past, and some of them were. Yet here today, because I've been through so much growth and expansion in my life, because I've chosen that for my life, those things didn't really resonate anymore. That's not who I am anymore. So then I went on to the Enneagram test, and I came back a 4W5, the Bohemian. And again, some of the things resonated, and a lot of them were not who I am anymore. And inside of the Enneagram questions, sometimes I just had to choose something because I had to choose something in order to get to the next question. I have come far enough along in my journey that none of those things are me anymore. And then the big aha that dropped in is that, well, these are personality tests. And one of the things on this journey, right, that we are here dismantling is our personality, ego identity, ego death, right? Who we were in devotion to who we're becoming, right? These are all ways that we say that we're basically annihilating our personality. So as we go to take a personality test, the facets and the pieces of our personality that used to define us are no longer relevant. And this was the big aha that I saw in this personality test, was that we change, right? The spiritual path demands of us that we change. You can no longer be the person you were if you want to be the person you came here to be. He or she has to die. And many times over. I don't experience that it's one big ego death and then we wake up. Maybe for some, right? Not for me. There's been thousands of mini deaths along the way. Some bigger than others, right? Some more potent than others, more powerful than others, more eye-opening than others. The portal I went through after the pilgrimage I did this summer, you might remember that I went to England, back to my ancestral roots, and walked a pilgrimage path with my mom and my daughter, 3 generations of women, healing wounds from when I was a tiny child. And I came back from that trip changed. I made big changes in my life. I saw the world differently. I began a new part of my journey because that version of Sarah, I left her there in England. She died where she needed to, right? So that I could bury her and revere her and honor her and celebrate her with so much love for what she gave me. But that now her time here was done. And then this version of me has changed again many times since then because this is the path. This is the true path, right? This is where the resistance lies. This is where the pain, the suffering, it all lies in our unwillingness to let go of the person who is trying to die. Often they are screaming at you. Let me go, let me out. You know, if anything, right? You know, I don't really like to say the words let go, like just let go of that. But if it fits anywhere, it fits here. Just let them go. You know, in the beginning, that felt hard for me sometimes, right? I needed to do it with ceremony. I needed to do it lovingly and kindly and really just hold and honor this part of me. And if that's where you are on your path, then show up for that because that is true and correct for you, right? You need the tenderness. You're still in the place of your journey where that part of you wants more love and more holding as they go. And what has happened for me, the more I've practiced, right, annihilating these parts in devotion to the new version of me, the easier they leave. And now it sometimes can be even funny when they go, or it can be a little shocking sometimes. Like the other day, a version of me was just drowning, not violently, but there she sank. I closed my eyes and all of a sudden she came and she was just in my thoughts. And then I was in the ocean and she just started sinking and she was dropping and dropping and I could tell she was dying. She was just drowning. She was done. And she was just like, bye, I'm gone. Right? That can be a little more shocking if you're not used to ego death, that part of you is dying. Or another time it was a little bit more violent. Like these things can happen, right? But all it is just parts of your psyche, parts of your ego. And this is what we came here to do. The ego's job is to, 1, protect us, and 2, to die. Like, these are the things, right? And both of those jobs, it will do with so much passion and so much love for you because this is its job and it's devoted to it. But what happens is you become devoted to the new you that emerges underneath. And then those old parts just fade. And this is really personality. Your personality, it's another way of saying ego. It's the patterns and programs, the thoughts and beliefs that you installed in the first 30 years of your life. A lot of the ones that are the really core beliefs, right? They're going to live below the age of 10. But literally, you are just an amalgamation of survival programs that got put in place. And there you will stay until you unpack that. And this is just the human journey. This is nothing's wrong with you. You did anything wrong. Poor pity you. All these bad things happened to you. None of that, right? We're not here for that. It's like, yeah, that wants to come in sometimes. We can validate that. We can say, okay, I see you, and use our tools. But ultimately, that's not really you. Not the you that we're talking about, right? The you that's infinite, that's connected to everything. That is a miracle, right? Those are just the costumes that you wear. Those are just the layers of your personality. And the thing is, a lot of those layers can be really great. Like one of my personality layers that was the hardest to give up. Do I want to say give up? Because I didn't do it voluntarily. Part of me did, part of me didn't, right? Sometimes we want to cling to them. But I masked the pain and the trauma by being a very likable person. Sarah was always known for how much she smiled and how kind she was, how nice she was, how she was always helping people, and she was always just so much fun to be around. Like, that was the personality I crafted. What's wrong with that, right? We think about that and like, that's a lovely personality. Why would that want to be annihilated? It's like, well, because it's not really true, right? It is a layer that I put on to protect myself so that I wasn't powerful, wasn't empowered in my life. Let me just take all the light and power and goodness that's intended for me, and I'm just going to push it out my heart into the world so that I am safe. I'm going to give it to everybody else, and then I'm going to be starving inside. That's what that pattern set up for me, right? Give it to everybody else. Don't know how to receive for myself. So you can then begin to see the shadow side underneath, the beautiful personality that I created, right? So even that has to go. And now that's not saying that I'm not still kind and I'm not still enjoyable to be around. I do still have some friends on this path, a few that have stuck around and still love me. But a lot have to go, right? When you're not giving until you're dying. Haha, that's funny, right? Because you want to die, but that's a different kind of dying, as we know, right? The overgiving dying is suffocating, and it's exhausting, and it burns us out. And that's not the type of dying that we're talking about in ego death, right? Because ego death frees us. It frees us to do and live the way we want. And so as you're looking at your personality, maybe you've taken one of those tests, maybe you haven't. I find actually, like, I do Akashic record readings, my human design chart, astrology. From my experience, and this is only my experience, that's what I've got to share with you today, right? You might have a very different connection. And I love that, right? Follow what's true and correct for you. These other blueprints, let's call them, I feel they have more depth there's a soul element, right? It's not just personality. There is a soul element to these types of things. Astrology has a larger, wider scope of what's happening in the stars lays over the choices in our life and our purpose and our passions. And then Akashic records, right? They read our soul blueprint, and human design really does accentuate both sides, right? It gives us the unconscious and the conscious, so we can see this is more personality, and then this is more soul. And so they give us deeper markers, has been my experience from being engaged in all of these modalities. There's more information that's based on you underneath the you've crafted to protect yourself, right? And we look at these places with just a lot of compassion. No judgment, no shame, no I did it wrong, I'm such a mess, oh my gosh, I need to fix myself. You know that that's not where we go with this stuff, right? It's like, this is beautiful, this is amazing. This is like, bring this, lay it on the joint altar and let's get to work. Let's do what we need to do, right? To just peel back the layers and uncover the truth. Your truth. Right? Not the external world's truth, but your truth, the truth of your heart, the truth of your soul, the truth you came here to live. So invitation, my loves. Look at your personality. Who are you? What did you craft in order to be able to move through the world in a way that you feel safe and protected? Maybe not too visible, not too loud, not needing too much, not taking too much, right? All these places where we minimize ourselves, where we want to give an excuse for who we are. Really just recognize these places for the tender places they are and for the gift that they are trying so desperately to hand to you, right? They want something different. And the reason that they are percolating in your field, the reason that they are part of what is happening for you right now, what is up for you right now, is because they're ready for change. It is time for change. This is the days we are living in, right? Reinvention. So who are you going to reinvent as? What is the personality layer that's just ready to move on, right? I love you.